demand them to apply what's known and as a practice among them. So you can say the custom, the common tradition, that it has a weight, cannot be neglected. But when it has a weight, as I mentioned to you, this is the fifth maxim, this is the last one. In the absence of a text or a condition, then our reference is al-'ada. So if there's a text from Quran or Sunnah, there's no any consideration for any culture or custom or whatever. If there's a condition was made, that will oversee any other tradition, because we already agreed on that condition, as long as that condition is Islamically acceptable. If in absence of the text or a condition, then we consider al-'urf. Al-ma'ruf fi 'urfan kal-mashruti shartan. What was commonly known among people as a practice, as if was made as a condition. So Islam consider the common practice between people. And that's how Islam can be practiced in any culture, in any society. How Islam takes its universal aspect. So any culture can be within the Islamic culture as long as does not contradict any of the texts. However, we have to differentiate between what is as a part of the religion and what is a culture. We have seen many people mixing between the teaching of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and what inherited from their parent and their generation, the old generation, without knowing is that matching with the rules of Allah or not. Some parent created more people that toward culture than the religion. It's very hard for them to break what is related to the culture and go easy what is even was the teaching of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The concept of aib for many, it take a weight more than the concept of haram. Some of them they go and they said, please, I need halal meat. But at the same time, as he insisted to have halal meat and zabiha, he's ordering, whiskey with it. He's ordering alcohol with it. Is that concept of that person when he asks for zabiha, and he insists when he will go into the restaurant to ask that question, is that halal or not? And then he doesn't care about drinking alcohol. Do you think he comes from the religious aspect from what he's asking about? Or is it because of that influence of the culture? It's more the influence of the culture than even the religion. Because if you care about this and not the other, and all comes from the same source. I'm just giving you some examples how the culture is really strong in many societies than the teaching of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which comes first? What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said and what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam indicate. And then what we agreed upon as a condition, and then we'll look at the custom and the tradition, if it's matched. If not, then it has to be neglected. Has to be not considered in the way of our practice. Many questions sometimes people come and ask. They said, what's the rules of Islam about this? I told them this is a matter of 'ada, of culture. This is not fixed with the hadith or with the ayah. No, that's related to what you practice in this. And many of the areas like that. Imam al-Shafi'i, when he was in Iraq, he gave fatwa and his opinion about multiple matters. However, when he moved to Egypt, he gave different answers for the same questions. And they call it in madhab al-Shafi'i al-madhab al-qadim wal-madhab al-jadid. The old madhab and the new madhab. And that's not too many masail. Some scholars they count it as 13 mas'ala, 13 cases. But looking at those cases, you find majority of them, it's not all of them, it's a culture related. Because if the culture change, the fatwa would change. And that's fine, and that's understood. So in Islam, that custom and the practice of people is considered. And many times dispute happen between people because of those things. Let's make things clear, especially in this society, because there's no much agreement on many things. We don't have specific culture that we practice. So when you come to marriage contract, for example, do not just leave it for the culture. Make it clear, all condition and all rules. Because on the time of dispute, it's hard to go to which culture you are going to apply, because we don't have the common culture that we apply. In order to understand, I will give you an example. That some people that are engaged, or they already in a relation, or they have their contract, for example, and then dispute happen, and they didn't want to proceed with the marriage. And now they want to come, what's my right and what's your right? He gave her gold and many other valuable gifts. Do they have to return it or not? Is that considered as part of the dowry or not? He didn't mention in his tongue. He didn't specify. There's no clear condition. So how they consider? Now they go to practice, the urf, the aada. In some culture, they say, it's aib for them, it's not acceptable for them to return whatever we give. That's it. I think maybe new culture, in Sudanese culture, they don't return anything, yes? For the gifts. Yes. And maybe Saudi as well, like in a culture, they don't return it, the gift. Even if a major gift, yes? In some culture, no. They return it. They have to, because being considered that was gifted for her because of the interest of the marriage, and that's valuable things, it might be even considered as part of the dowry. I'm saying could be the answer for this different based on the culture. This now, we're not saying, oh, there's a rules in this. No. That's considered in Sharia and part of fiqh. It's very interesting. Our deen is beautiful. Consider all aspects of life. But we need to understand it. And we need even to educate ourselves. And at the same time, we need to be clear in our transaction, in our contract, to avoid dispute that might happen because of, the differences in culture and practice. May Allah guide us all, and may Allah give us the best of understanding. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة آمين. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.